Yeah, I saw the second season as a paradigm shift. Everyone is in a different place, as you just saw. Almost every character is shifted, kind of musical chair style, to a different um, position of power or lack thereof. And it was a way to keep the same people, explore a new dynamic. Um, and it was part of the plan that we had from last year. No, I think that it's a little more complicated than they're just going to be fighting each other all season. It's going to sort of expand and contract. There's going to be hot and cold, periods between them. There's going to be a thaw. Things are going to get better. They're going to get worse. It's a sine wave, really. The whole Alex and Nikita story.
No, I know, grew the hair out for fun, and then we just kind of went with it. But I think what's been great has been playing it is a whole different dynamic. I think being now with Michael being with Nikita, it's a whole other set of problems basically. And I think what's been fun about that is, last year I really did love working in Division, and it was a lot of fun, and it felt like, that was in a sense Michael's home. This year being on the run, it's far different, but the scenes that I get to do with Maggie are more intimate and just a little bit more fun in trying to figure out how their relationship even works. And one's very conservative and one's very liberal, and how they even just get along together has been very difficult. And it's very fun to have Burkhoff involved as well this year, because I remember not really having any clue. I remember Aaron not having any clue what was going to happen. So we're excited with all that too.
Give it about 4 episodes. 4 or 5. And I wouldn't say it's like super smooth sailing till then, but
I was going to say, you could say right off the bat, maybe episode 2. There's little bits of.
But Big Trouble doesn't start until like 5.
Till about 5. Yeah, till 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there will always be issues, because it's just them trying to figure themselves out as well, but actually living together now and being together, which is something they never really had, even when they dated or had what they had in Division. So it's just getting used to it's taking an ordinary situation, a relationship, and putting it in extraordinary circumstances, and that's would be incredibly difficult for anyone. Yeah, well, I think he's used to being in somewhat control. Even if Percy was calling the shots and things like that, he got away clearly with a lot of things. And now, I'm pretty positive Nikita's in control. So, as most women might be in relationships. So, I think that it's relinquishing a little bit of that as well. And that is kind of really what we've been doing for the first 5 episodes here, I'm sure all year, of just them having to bend to each other and for each other. And it doesn't always work positively, but it's definitely exciting to do.
It's a little spy Game of Thrones type thing. There's a lot of, and when you the idea of Alex's sort of corporate empire that she has left behind and is kind of coming after her, Zetrov, is a huge part of this season, and there are a couple sort of power players. And we watch our characters fight and try to take over or get screwed over by these giant entities. Well, you get that answer in the episode following this one. Owen comes back in, and you see him interact with everybody. The last scene of the next episode is it's a bit of a twist. So I don't want to give it away, but you'll understand how Owen will fit in with the group past the end of the next show. Well, because they have the black box, and the black box has all of these past missions, secrets, conspiracies on it, a lot of which they were personally involved in. You're going to get a window into that past, more of their past missions, some past missions they didn't even know about. You're going to get a look back at, again, recruit Nikita, training under Michael. Alex's. We're going to go a little deeper into Alex's flashbacks. Although the young actress who plays young Alex she's grown up. She grew up a little bit.
Yeah.
But
She's really tall now.
she's a little taller.
Wonderful.
But she's great.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of like the Nikita files,
I mean,
that fill in. You're going to see the moment where, there are moments we know happened. Nikita escaped from division. We know she faked her death and escaped from division. We're going to see the mission she did it on. We're going to see the consequence that it left behind for another agent. Stuff like that. You know what? There actually is. He meets a very nice girl in the next episode.
Right.
But I don't want to say too much about what happens. But there is you spotted her a little bit in this episode, Sonia, who is the person who's replaced Burkhoff. And I think if he knew that someone that hot was sitting in his chair now, I think it would, some healthy competition is sort of, on the horizon. Could turn into something else. Definitely the suits are not there.
The suits aren't there, and I miss them. I gotta say, I do in a way. Cities all the time, so that definitely answers part of the question.
Except when you're in like disguise.
Right.
Yeah. Like on a mission or something. Then there's some suits.
Yeah, the Smurf. Yeah. It's they're playing house essentially at this moment. Really thanks to Burkhoff, but with Nikita and Michael now, they're playing house in a an incredible situation. So and it's you're automatically going to see, especially with Nikita, the human side to her. As we get into, I think, her backstory and things like that, it feels very different in a good way. But I think this year is, even though you saw a lot of Michael's backstory last year, I think this year you're going to get more into the heads and the minds of these characters rather than now that they've been set up and produced out there for everybody and everyone knows who they're following or they like or love to hate or whatever. I think that, to me, so far this year has been, very based around that, and that's exciting because it is different. Last year was, Michael being a part of Division, was very, he hit his emotions back. It's what he does. It's what he does best. And I did that for quite some time. And so this year it's how not to get too emotional, I guess, which has been different.
Are you going to start seeing more of the bonding amongst the characters opposed to just the chaos they kind of live amongst on a daily basis?
Yeah.
For sure with Michael, Nikita, and Burkhoff, yeah.
Are they actually going to be living together?
Yeah. They're living together. I mean, Burkhoff's not going to move out of that place, and he's not going to give it to them.
Three's Company.
Yeah. So it's a little, he says Bizarro Three's Company. Yeah. He's important. He is a bit of the personification of Oversight. We're going to find out how he's linked to Oversight a little bit later. And he's a character who, a little bit like Michael in the first season, for a few episodes you didn't know quite where Michael was coming from until you learned about his backstory and you understood what was driving him. It's a bit of the same thing with Sean. So if in the first few shows you're like, where is this guy coming from? Just bear with it for a little bit. And it'll be defined. It's definitely, it's a bit of Hannibal Lecter. It's a bit of Magneto in X2, stuck in that plastic prison. It's a bit of the other reference when I was trying to, I was throwing these references at Xander to try to calm him down. Of like, you're going to be in a prison. You're going to be this thing. He's like, what? And I'm like, oh, it's cool. It's like Gene Hackman in Crimson Tide. He gets put down there, and now he's got to, fight his way back up. So Percy. But I think it's great. I mean, stripping the character down, taking away all of his suits, his office, his power. Really, and watching him try to rise again, and you'll see as he starts to barter, gets little things back. He gets his suit back. He gets little pieces of his office back in there.
I love that, yeah.
And it sort of looks like it's all for his ego, but actually he is, putting together little things to try to get out of there. I think the pairing with Supernatural is terrific.
Yeah.
And I think the audiences are similar, hopefully.
I believe so too. Yeah.
By the way, speaking of DVDs, this is yours.
Thank you.
I'm passing them out to
yet,
the cast is down here now.
I'm like,
Blu-ray.
I love it. Thank you.
But yeah, that's I actually am not that I'm not that well versed in the whole business and really I'm serious, like numbers part of it. I will keep doing it until they tell me to stop, kind of thing. So yeah.
It's hard to say. It's hard
Yeah.
It's really hard to predict. 10, 11 years ago, on the first series that I ever did, it was very important, and we got screwed around all the time with time slots and things like that, and just in the same year changing days and things like that, and I did mess around with a lot. But then that was over a decade ago, so things have changed tremendously. You want to try that first?
Yeah. There's a bunch of moments that are pretty great. I mean, I love it when in this show when they find Burkhoff. That's a great moment.
Yeah.
And when she shoots her, when Nikita shoots Alex, it really affected me. So.
I don't know if I can say my moments because they're
spoilery.
They're spoilery, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess in the second one, the stuff with Owen, some of the fight sequences, there's some cool, like at least for me, organized fight sequences in the second one that were a lot of fun, just for the whole macho aspect of it all. But the episode that we just finished, I had a lot of favorite moments.
Yeah.
But I definitely can't really
Episode
say
5?
much about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big moment in episode 5 that I haven't
turns out
seen
well.
yet, but
Yeah.
is a great like Makita moment that
Yeah.
I think is going to be pretty awesome.